There is a house that gathers heat from sunlight, stores it in stone, and shares that warmth from room to room without a furnace, without ducts, and without a single moving part. At first glance, it looks impossible. A giant glass structure in a dry landscape, glowing with warmth as if the building itself has learned how to hold the sun. From the outside, it feels futuristic. From the inside, it feels ancient, because this idea is not new. It is one of the oldest climate technologies human beings ever built. A house that does not make heat by burning fuel, but by arranging glass, air, mass, and sunlight in the right order. A house that turns winter light into stored comfort. A house that seems radical now only because modern construction forgot how obvious it once was. Today, it looks experimental, but for most of history, it was simply intelligent building. The real mystery is not whether it works. The real mystery is why we stopped building it, and how something so elegant, so simple, and so effective became a system most people have never even heard of. The archive opens in ancient Rome. The year is 125 of the Common Era, and Hadrian's villa is rising across the hills near Tivoli. Baths, gardens, libraries, theaters, and among them one circular room built for a purpose above all others, to hold the winter sun. The Romans called it the Heliomenus, the solar furnace. Its walls were thick masonry, dense enough to absorb heat through the day and release it slowly into the evening. Its openings faced south, positioned to capture the low angle of winter sunlight when it mattered most. As that light entered the chamber, it struck the mass of the interior and became warmth. Not by magic, not by machinery, by physics. The glass emitted solar radiation. The masonry held that energy inside, slowing its escape as the outside air cooled. 2,000 years later, the roof is gone. The glazing has vanished, but the shell still stands. Visitors can still step inside the surviving drum of masonry and imagine winter light pouring through those lost openings. The ruin proves something simple. Solar architecture is older than the modern idea of heating, and Rome did not invent it. Long before imperial villas, Greek builders already understood the geometry of warmth. In Athens, thinkers described houses that faced south so that low winter sun could enter the living spaces. They described overhangs that blocked the high summer sun while still allowing winter light to pass beneath. They described stone and tile floors that absorbed warmth through the day and released it back in the evening. This was not abstract philosophy. It was design logic. At sites in northern Greece, archaeologists have found neighborhoods arranged around the same principle. Rooms turned toward the sun, courtyards pulled in light, roof lines shaped seasonal exposure. What later generations would call passive solar design was once just common sense. The winter sun crossed the floor slowly. The stone remembered it, and by nightfall the room still carried a trace of the day. Travel farther east and the pattern remains. In northern China, traditional houses were laid out to work with the cold rather than merely resist it. Courtyards opened to the south. Thick earth walls absorbed heat all day long. At night, those same walls released their stored warmth into the sleeping rooms. This was not a trend. It was inherited survival knowledge. The courtyard was not only aesthetic, it was a light well, a thermal buffer, and a climate machine hidden in plain sight. Rome, Greece, China, different cultures, different centuries. The same architectural intelligence. Glass or open sky, stone or earth, courtyard or chamber, the principle never changed. Orientation mattered, thermal mass mattered. The movement of warm air mattered. What changed was not the physics. What changed was who got to decide what kind of house counted as normal. By the 20th century, researchers began measuring what earlier civilizations had known by instinct. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, a family built a house that relied on the sun instead of conventional heating. A large south-facing glazed space collected winter light. Behind it stood an adobe wall, and beneath the floor a bed of stones stored heat gathered through the day. There was no conventional furnace at the center of the design. Scientists at Los Alamos became interested and instrumented the building to see exactly what the sun was doing. They installed sensors, gauges, weather equipment. They measured temperatures, heat flow, and comfort. What they found was not fantasy, and it was not theory. They found that the sun space was doing real work. The glass gathered heat, the adobe held it, the rock bed stored it, and the house stayed comfortable through winter with far less backup heat than conventional logic would expect. A building had done what millions of heating systems are paid to do every year. Not by adding more machinery, but by arranging space correctly. That is the forgotten mechanism behind the greenhouse core house. One central solar collection zone rises far above room temperature on a clear winter day. Inside that glazed volume, sunlight turns the air warm and the thermal mass warmer still. Warm air is lighter, so it rises. At high openings, it drifts from the greenhouse into the surrounding rooms. Cooler air returns through lower openings near the floor, slipping back toward the sun space to be heated again. No fan pushes it. No motor forces it. A building moves warmth by itself. This is stack effect, the same physics that makes heat climb through a chimney. But here, the result is not smoke leaving a fire. It is warmth circulating through a house with no flame at all. And because the central collector is built into the envelope of the home, it performs better than a detached greenhouse. The more deeply the glass and thermal mass are integrated into the surrounding rooms, the more useful the heat becomes. What looks like a bold architectural gesture is actually a working energy system. Modern research keeps confirming the principle. Attached bioclimatic greenhouses have been shown to reduce annual energy demand when they are designed as part of the house rather than as decorative add-ons. Sunlight enters, mass stores, air circulates, comfort increases. In some climates, the gains are substantial, and in places where governments recognize this, the system is treated like real infrastructure. In Italy, bioclimatic greenhouses are seen not merely as aesthetic spaces, but as energy assets. The same room can reduce winter heating needs, and with proper shading and ventilation, help with summer comfort as well. Yet in other places, the same idea meets a very different reaction, not because the physics fails, because the classification fails. A greenhouse that shares heat with the house does not fit neatly inside the templates modern codes prefer. If it is treated as a sunroom, it is often expected to remain thermally separated from the living space. But if it is separated, the heat cannot move where it is needed most. The collector is isolated from the rooms it was designed to warm. The easiest recognized category blocks the very function that makes the system powerful. And if you open that greenhouse to the rest of the house, another problem appears. Now the space can be interpreted as an atrium. Atriums bring another layer of complexity: fire separation, rated assemblies, expensive glazing, engineered review. The more naturally the heat is allowed to circulate, the more costly the approval path can become. Openings that make the physics work become openings that trigger concern. A design that depends on connection gets forced toward separation. And even where alternate methods are technically allowed, the burden falls on the person proposing the house. Documentation, analysis, engineering. Negotiation, review. The conventional path is simple because it has already been approved 1,000 times before. The passive path exists, but often you have to carve it yourself. And even if you succeed, another obstacle waits for you. Try selling the house. A lender looks for comparable properties. An appraiser looks for familiar features. The market wants to know what category this building belongs to. But what happens when the house does not resemble the houses around it? What happens when it has no furnace, no obvious mechanical center, and a floor plan shaped by climate instead of convention? The house may perform beautifully and still be undervalued, not because it lacks worth, but because the system struggles to measure value when that value does not look familiar. That is how ideas disappear without ever being disproven. They are not always banned outright. Sometimes they are simply categorized into inconvenience. Sometimes they are filed under risk, cost, or uncertainty. Sometimes they are made difficult enough that people stop trying. And all the while, sunlight keeps doing exactly what it has always done. It falls through glass, it warms stone, it lifts air, it moves through space without asking permission from a machine. That is part of what makes the greenhouse core house so disruptive. It reduces the need for fuel. It reduces the need for mechanical heating equipment. It reduces the need for service calls, replacement cycles, and recurring energy bills. It produces comfort, but not much revenue. And systems built around products, equipment, and measurable consumption do not always know what to do with something that quietly removes demand. A single solar collection wall can outperform a long list of smaller, more expensive components when the design is done correctly. One integrated wall is harder to package, harder to standardize, and harder to monetize than a collection of discrete products. That does not make the house impossible. It makes the house inconvenient to the structure built around conventional solutions. Still, the knowledge survives. Owner-builders continue to rediscover it. In modern projects, people still construct solar greenhouses with insulated north walls and rows of thermal mass barrels. By afternoon, the stored water grows warm from sunlight. By night, it releases that warmth slowly into the space. No fuel truck arrives, no burner ignites. The system keeps working because the principle is simple enough to survive neglect. Sunlight is free, mass is patient. Air rises whether the code approves of it or not. That is why these ideas keep returning, not because they are nostalgic, because they are physically sound. And once you see the pattern, you begin to notice how often climate-smart methods are pushed to the margins. Walls that store heat, roofs that regulate temperature, earth that buffers seasonal extremes, air moved by geometry instead of motors. Again and again, the same story appears. The method works. The market looks away. The paperwork gets heavier. The building becomes rare, but rarity is not proof of failure. Sometimes rarity is proof of resistance. Return one more time to the greenhouse core house. Glass at the center, stone beneath the light. Air moving without a fan, rooms warmed by arrangement rather than combustion. This is not science fiction, it is not a prototype waiting for invention. It is a rediscovered pattern visible across history, from ancient chambers to courtyard homes to measured modern experiments. The sun is still crossing winter skies every morning. Walls still hold heat after noon. Warm air still rises to the highest opening in the room. The physics has not disappeared. Only the cultural memory has. A house that grows its own heat sounds radical only in an era that forgot how normal solar logic once was. A house like this does not ask for a monthly subscription. It does not depend on a flame in the basement. It does not need the constant hum of mechanical reassurance to prove it is working. It works quietly. And perhaps that is exactly why so few people are told it exists. Because a heating system you cannot meter is hard to sell. Method you cannot easily patent is hard to dominate. And architecture that lowers dependence on purchased energy rarely comes with a powerful lobby behind it. So the greenhouse core house remains where many intelligent ideas remain. At the edge of the mainstream, waiting not for invention but for recognition, waiting not for new physics but for permission to use old physics well. The glass is still clear, the sun is still free, the stone still remembers, and the house is still ready to warm itself.